Did you see our good friend? I could not believe this when I saw it. Our good friend and one of the first. He might have even been the second or third ever guest.
He was the first ever guest we didn't know. I think is what he was.
Markus Birdman.
Markus Birdman.
Yeah.
What a lovely guy.
Stand-up comedian, 20-year pro. This is as well.
Well, that was the thing. Like, I was sitting there watching Britain's Got Talent with a family, and suddenly went, "It's Markus Birdman." Like, flash up on that coming soon sort of thing. I think I sent you a message, didn't I? But I found it quite interesting that they did him the dirty a little bit on there. I thought, I don't know if you noticed it.
He's going
in
to
the
be
beginning,
rubbish.
he came on and like they'd edited it, so he was silent. Like he'd said something, and like the crowd was then edited silent. It's like, oh, he's not going to be funny, or like this sort of thing. And the guy in the crowd said about what he was wearing and that. And I was sitting there thinking, but he's an established comedian. Like this guy's not. It's not his first time he's been on the stage. He knows exactly what he's doing. So don't give it all this nonsense. But yeah, that's Britain's Got Talent, I guess. But he was how they do.
Come on, man. Did you watch the whole episode?
Mm-hmm.
Any tears?
No. What bit? What was? What was the tears bit?
A couple of bits got me this week. This is the James getting emotional update. The guy who sang the song from Les Mis,
the big guy in the hair,
big guy with the hair. Although
amazing voice.
Amazing voice, but there was some sort of backstory there, but no one actually knows what it was because his mum said something like, through what he's been through and all this, but you don't actually know what it actually is, which I quite liked. However, little fun update, and a colleague at work told me about this. The guy was actually in an episode of Casualty about 4 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah.
That was he in a terrible accident, and then that's the thing that he's trying to get over. Is that what it is?
Oh, can you imagine? Don't know. I didn't watch it. I don't watch Casualty. Too much gore for me. So that's one, and then the other one that did get me a little bit choked up was there was the children with the boy from Ukraine.
Oh right, yeah.
But again, the same person who told me about the Casualty thing, her response to that was, it was almost a bit of a like a all right.
See, yeah, I don't know if I should follow this path, because I do think, Joe, obviously everything that's going on in Ukraine is an absolute tragedy, and
100%.
war and conflict and anything like that is an awful thing, and it shouldn't happen. However, in something like that, we've talked about this so many times outside of this podcast, and when they use things like that to sell the act, almost, it's like, oh, look at sad little whatever, he's from Ukraine. Look, he's from Ukraine. Did we tell you he's from Ukraine and he came to his country? But he dances now. Look at him. He's happy. He's happy now. He's dancing. Like, come on. I'll leave it out. Just.
But mate, how good was the beatbox dude at the end? The French guy.
He was amazing. Yeah.
But again, wait for it. Same person at work told me this. He was on The Voice in France.
Hey.
So again, Voice. Yeah, I don't know if he was doing whatever he was doing.
Clever.
Thank you. But
I was having a conversation about this at the weekend. So my friends, obviously, I've got stuff like music stuff, and my friend said, You got that sort of thing that can do now. I'm like, no, I haven't. But it's easier than you think.
Well, didn't Ed Sheeran do this for like a gig, didn't he? Because it's it's like just recording a soundbite and then looping it.
Yeah. So Ed Sheeran started sort of doing it way back when Katie Tunstall, I don't know if you remember Katie Tunstall, she used to do the same thing.
Okay.
And you can get, like, what he was using was a loop pedal, and he had sort of like 4 channels basically. So you tap it once, it starts recording, you do your thing, you tap it again, and it will play it. And then you sort of work along, and you have the 4 different things going, which is what he was doing. And he had some sort of effect on his voice, like a reverb or something, to make it sound like that. And Ed Sheeran does the same. Ed Sheeran's got like it's a computer now, so it's a pedal, but it's linked to a computer to allow him to record stuff. But yeah, it's the same principle. I would bet money, and I was having this conversation, that if I got one and you used it, you could do something not as good as what that guy did, because clearly he's practiced a lot, but you could do something respectable using that.
Same as anything. The more you use it, you can master it, I guess.
It looks really impressive, but the actual basis of it is quite simple. So it's not to discredit what he did, because it was really cool, but it is a pretty simple thing. So there you go. Next episode, me and James will be with a loop pedal, just throwing out some jams to New Door in public.
Either that, or we'll be on Britain's Got Talent.
On Britain's Got Talent doing it, yeah.
Although I feel like that guy's got it kind of covered now.
Yeah, that's his niche, isn't it? Now we need to find something else.
Maybe we could do the podcast on Britain's Got Talent.
Yeah, we'll just sit down and talk
for 2 minutes. Anyway, what news have you seen this week?
Well, on a music note, I saw an article that I thought was really, really interesting, and I'm sure you've seen vinyl is very, very popular now, or popular again, and there were sort of like stats coming out that it's outselling other mediums. I think it's outselling CDs and stuff. And there are a few facts, like, for example, the 3 high-selling albums on vinyl in 2022 were Taylor Swift's Midnight, which sold 945,000 copies on vinyl.
Wow.
Harry Styles' Harry House, which is 480,000, and Olivia Rodrigo's Sour, which was 263,000. What was you hoping for? 1975. Yeah, I've not got their stats down here, but that's not the interesting fact. The interesting fact is, apparently, due to this survey, they surveyed 3,900 consumers, that the people that had purchased vinyl in 2022, 50% of those didn't own a record player.
So is there value in the actual vinyl then?
Apparently, it's just, if you're a big fan, like if you love the 1975, which you do, and you love them to the point where you want everything that the 1975 do, you will buy the vinyl when it comes out, just because you love them and you want every little bit of it.
It's almost like it's a collectible.
Exactly that. People are looking at it as a collectible rather than something to listen
an actual
to.
Material that will play music.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't really get that.
That's a bit weird.
What do you think of that idea? Would you buy vinyl based on the fact of, like, just to have it?
Well, no, because again, I mean, it's same as anything. I think if you're not going to use it, then I don't really see the point.
No.
And I mean, I haven't got a record player. And the funny thing is, I grew up. I was only talking about this the other day. I can't remember who to now, but I'm sure you remember, like stack systems. Like my dad had a stack system that was like top of the range. It was his pride and joy. I remember it had its own little cubby hole in the living room, and it had the record player. We had no records. I think the thing that he was most happy about with that stack system, it had a 6-disc CD player, tape deck, all of that. Had the record player, never used it. Never saw him use it once.
Funny. So where I'm a bit,
go on.
When I'm a bit older, I remember like my first things buying. Well, I had a lot on cassette, but I did have records, and my mum had a lot of records of various things and that, and we did have a record player for a while, but it was very quickly then replaced with tapes and then sort of CDs.
But then it being your DJing background as well, like records when you're mixing them on decks and things like that, and the rawness of the sound, the kind of pops and the crispiness of it at times.
Yeah.
That must be one of the benefits of that, because you get everything on it, no?
See, there's a school of thought that vinyl sounds better than the whole thing, which I'm a bit suspicious of. It's because when you listen to a CD, like the scientific explanation of it, you listen to a CD, and when CDs were created, they worked out the algorithm of how much of the sound you would include. Like, you're not getting the whole picture as such in theory. Like, if something was recorded in the 70s on tape, they would take that and they would take all of the sound that you need, essentially, and then put it on that CD from a space point of view, so that they can fit lots of like tracks on there. So people will argue that you're not getting the full sound on certain CDs, whereas on vinyl, you get more frequencies. Not necessarily, like, again, going into the science, the CD includes all the frequencies a human ear can hear, which is it's like 10 hertz to 30,000 hertz. It's something like that, from the low to the high. With vinyl, there are much more, but they're not necessarily ones you can hear. There are more ones that you can feel. So it still contributes to it. And that's the theory behind it, which I don't necessarily buy into. Like, for someone who makes music on their computer, I can have an audio file that will include such a high range of frequencies on there. You know, how's that not better than vinyl? But I've got loads of vinyl. I've probably got nearly 1,000, like just there in that sort of unit, and I've got my decks. For me, the difference is it's tactile. Like, when you're mixing, you're actually touching the thing and you're moving the thing and you're controlling that sound, like
which you can't do with
song.
a track on Spotify.
Exactly that. That is the big thing. Like, Spotify, you have every song in the world in as such, but having something on vinyl, there are lots of things that I have down there that you'll never get on Spotify. So it's
give and take.
A trade-off, isn't it? Yeah.
Do you know what though, Matt? Sometimes your mind blows my mind. That sounds rude.